This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. And welcome to the latest episode of The Obsessive Viewer. We're a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be a genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find back episodes at OVPodcast.com and also find the companion blog at ObsessiveViewer.com. And this week we have a guest, Tiny.
I'm not a guest.
No, you're not a guest. God damn it. Our guest today is our friend Pat from the Nerds You're Looking For podcast. Hey, Pat.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Wonderful.
Pretty good. Oh, damn it. I thought we were going to be in sync again. Damn it. It's going well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited to be on. It's been a long time.
It has been. And, I've been super busy. And
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
You know.
But you're back. You're on the podcast again. Yay.
Yeah, I've been really excited about this. My wife is kind of annoyed. I think she just kind of wants me to record and be done with it because I've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. Oh, did I tell you I'm going to be on the Obsessive Viewer again? She's like, yeah, I know. This is like the 100th time you told me. So I think she's just going to be glad when it's over.
Nice. That's very flattering.
Basically, I don't know if I've told you this, Matt, but there would be the Nerd You're Looking For without me being on the Obsessive Viewer for your guys' zombie episode. I just really loved doing it. So Tyler and I decided to start our own. So
nice.
There would be no podcast if it wasn't for the Obsessive Viewer.
That is what we do here. We inspire dreams.
I'm so proud.
I'm so proud. Yes, and I know Tyler's listening. And well,
if he is listening, stop listening, Tyler, because I don't want to spoil our Ant-Man review.
Right. Well, eventually he'll listen, and I just want to say, Tyler, how does it feel knowing your co-host is here with us?
I'm committing podultery.
Exactly.
Yes.
So anyway, before we get started, by the way, this episode is going to be covering Ant-Man. And before we get started on that, Pat, why don't you go ahead and just tell us about the Nerd You're Looking For and where we can find all your stuff and, just pitch the show to us. We're both avid listeners.
As you said, it's Nerd You're Looking For. We are a weekly nerd culture podcast. We just discuss the culture through various segments. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcast directory. We're on it. We also have a companion blog, thenerdspodcast.com. We also have a YouTube channel. And we're pretty much on all the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter is at The Nerds Podcast. We're also on Google Plus and a bunch of other stuff. So check us out. Pretty much all of the social media websites.
Who's in your MySpace top 8?
MySpace top 8. Jesus. I mean, like 7 of them are just the porn websites, and then the other one is Matt.
Oh, nice. Oh. I was hoping that I would be the 8th. Very nice. And your YouTube channel, you are about to post your first Let's Play, correct?
Yes, I just did a Let's Play for Arkham Knight.
Nice.
There is a bunch of Batmobile AR challenges, and I'm just garbage at the Batmobile. The controls are very touchy, and so I thought it would be fun to record me driving around doing one of these AR challenges, and it goes terribly. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing it, and then I enjoyed making fun of myself playing it. So it was a lot of fun. I'm going to post that. I don't know when this is going to post, so I don't know if I should say it's going to post in a couple of days or next week, or basically we're recording this on Monday night. I had to think about what day it was. I'm going to post it on this coming Thursday, if everything goes as planned.
That should be the same day that I post this episode, so right on.
All right, cool.
Nice.
So that'll work out.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, so before we get to our main topic of Ant-Man, I almost said the Ant-Man, A couple things that I want to bring up real quick, just news about the site and everything. Last week for our Vault Movies 3 episode, I added a little teaser to my solo project podcast that I'm going to be doing called Anthology. I just wanted to say that here in a couple weeks I'm going to be unleashing that into the world. So if you're interested in science fiction storytelling from television's golden age, particularly the Twilight Zone, check out anthologypod.com. It'll be on this feed as well, so you know. And also, lately I've been covering on the blog. I just finished the Marvel Cinematic Universe review series, and then also I'm covering as much of Indy Film Fest as I can. You can actually find a new section of the site at obsessiveviewer.com/Indianapolis. It's where I'm hoping that we'll be covering more Indianapolis-based film topics and things like that. And finally, of course, check out ShocktoberInIrvington.com, where we have more information about Shocktober in Irvington 2, which will be October 16th, 2015 at the Irving Theater. We're going to be showing short horror films from local filmmakers, having giveaways and prizes and all that kind of good stuff. And all the proceeds are going to the Irvington Historical Society. And also, last thing, subscribe to reddit.com/r/obsessiveviewer. Okay, so all that being said, we're here to talk Ant-Man, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, you know, as we are wont to do on the Obsessive Viewer, I think this is something that Mike actually would do occasionally. But what were the circumstances of seeing the movie for you guys? When did you see it? What was the theater atmosphere like? And Pat, since you are our guest, why don't you go ahead and get us kicked off on that?
Well, when I saw it, I love that they're doing these early screenings, and so I've gotten in the habit of always seeing a movie on Thursday. Like, it's just become part of my movie watching habit. So I love the fact that they've had these early screenings. So I went and saw it, I believe it was like 8 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. Went and saw it, and I was actually surprised at how not busy it was. I mean, I've gone to these Thursday night screenings for Age of Ultron and all the other big Marvel movies, and it was packed. And this one, not so much.
Wow, that's, my theater wasn't really that busy either. Granted, I went on a Saturday at like 4. So it should have been kind of busy. But
yeah, I don't think it's doing as well as people thought it was. I knew they were kind of projecting it at like 60 to 65 million, and I know it didn't hit that.
Oof. That, that sucks. But we'll get into that. Tiny,
Sure.
What about your... Well, actually, my circumstances watching it was a matinee at a local theater. There was a few people checking their phone. Like 5 people in the theater were checking their phone throughout the movie. Like 5 different people in different sections. And all I thought was, like, I wish I... Like, in that moment, my preferred superpower would have been to disrupt the electronics at will, because that would just be perfect for that.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Anyway, that was my thought process.
There's a problem
watching
with that power, though, because then you would shut off the projector.
Ooh.
Well, I would have to focus it. I imagined like a like Cyclops, with his eye stuff, kind of focusing it
His
on
eye
that.
stuff.
His eye stuff. That's the actual technical thing. But anyway, Tiny, what was your theater experience for this movie?
I also saw it in a matinee. It was a 4:00 showing yesterday on Sunday, the day of the Lord. And there weren't that many people there, really. Got some popcorn, went with my girlfriend. She wanted to see it.
Ooh, yeah.
She wanted to see it?
She wanted to see it, yeah.
Really?
And she liked it.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So, what about our just kind of broad topic or broad thoughts on this movie? Just kind of give us a rundown of what you thought of the movie, and then we'll kind of get into a deeper discussion from there. Pat, what did you think of Ant-Man?
Well, I think this movie is going to divide a lot of Marvel fans because I don't think it's for the faint of heart, and I say that because it's very, very exposition heavy at the very beginning. Like, it takes a while for it to get going, but I think it's worth it. I think it definitely pays off once it gets going. It just takes a while to get going, and I think it may lose some people in I think a lot of people are going to either love this movie or they're going to hate it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I also like how it's a lot different than most of the Marvel movies that we've seen so far, in the fact that it's really a heist movie, which I really enjoy. I enjoy that genre of movies. So I enjoyed the fact that it was more of a caper movie than a superhero movie at certain aspects. I also liked that, other than really the Incredible Hulk, we haven't really seen a hero and square off with a villain that really essentially has the same powers as the villain. And so I thought that was an interesting dynamic. So that's kind of, without getting too many of the particulars, that's kind of my broad strokes of Ant-Man.
Nice. I did not. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Right on. And also, we won't be spoiling the movie. And then if we do get into spoilers, I'll cut it at the end of the episode. But anyway, Tiny, what did you think of Ant-Man?
I really, really liked it a lot.
Nice.
I haven't gone through the whole rigmarole of like where I would put it amongst the other films of the cinematic universe, because I need to see it again. I need to see some of the others again, stuff like that. But it's in the top half without question.
Oh, really?
I thought it was fantastic. I really think, I think Marvel and these comic book movies, at least the Marvel ones, have really kind of nailed down a formula, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not to say the movie was formulaic, but I think the direction they take with their movies, like the fact that they're casting these actors who are known for their comedy, like Paul Rudd and Chris Pratt, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think keeping it lighthearted and in the right moments is really working for it, and there was plenty of that on display in this movie. I love the casting and the filmmaking and all the effects and all the action and stuff like that was just what I wanted. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Nice, right on. Well, my thoughts on Ant-Man, just kind of in broad terms here. I liked it a lot more than I expected. I have a review that's going to be posting, that will have posted a couple days ago on the site, but this movie was a lot better than it really had any right to be, considering the kind of peculiar premise and the trouble behind the scenes. And I really went in expecting it to be not quite that good, but it ended up really, really satisfying me. I thought that it was a little clunky, kind of at the start and kind of into the middle of it. You could kind of definitely tell that there was some struggles with the script and behind the scenes and everything there. But, once they got into the actual action of it and like seeing Ant-Man go to ant size and then human size and then ant size and human size to fight was just a really refreshing kind of action sequence setup or conceit for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that kind of really clicked with me. And so it had its problems. We'll get into the specifics about the movie, but I liked it quite a bit. I rated it a 7 out of 10, a bargain buy on the website. So I thought it was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's start with Scott Lang. What did you guys think of Paul Rudd and Scott Lang and Hank Pym? Also, we can throw that in there. Pat, I know that you're a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to the comic book lore of comic books in general. So
yeah.
What did you think of Hank Pym, kind of the movie being kind of about passing the torch to Scott Lang? How did you feel about that?
I really liked it. I think Paul Rudd was cast perfectly. Mm-hmm. I can't, now that I've seen the movie, I can't imagine anybody else doing what he did in the movie. I think he's just fantastic. I liked how it matched the tone of the new comic book series. I really like, it's one of my favorite series that Marvel puts out right now is the new Ant-Man. So I'm really glad that they kind of matched the tone. They took some liberties with Darren Cross. Well, they took a ton of liberties with his character. I thought Corey Stoll did an amazing job as always. Mm-hmm. Didn't think he always had a lot to work with in this movie. His motivations kind of felt a little bit forced to me. But, I mean, I liked it. I really like how it matches up with the comic book really well.
Nice. And how far into the comic are they? Because they started it a few months ago. I'm going off of what I've heard on the Nerds you're looking for. So is it particularly made for the movie? Like, is the likeness on the page like Paul Rudd or anything like that, or is it just like kind of a standard deviation?
Not exactly.
Okay.
I think they're in issue 6 or 7 at this point. Darren Cross is completely different. It's much more like the older comic book Darren Cross, which is completely different than Corey Stoll's character in this movie.
Okay.
But I really like it. It's very much very comedic type of tone, which is exactly like the movie. So that's kind of what I was hoping for when I was going into this, that they went much more comedic touch to it, and I'm happy to report that that's exactly what happened.
Very nice. Very nice. Tiny, what do you think of Paul Rudd?
Just phenomenal casting. From the get-go, I was like, yes. When they announced that they cast Paul Rudd, I was like, yeah, perfect. Love it. I don't even really know anything about Ant-Man, but just the way that Marvel's been handling their characters from the get-go, I think Paul Rudd fits into that role fantastically, because I really appreciated his work as a dramatic actor over the past decade and a half or so that we've been really acquainting ourselves with his career. He's mostly famous for his comedy, and I think he really shines there, but he has delivered some dramatic performances that I think are outstanding. And so I knew that with his capability to do that with both genres, that he was gonna be great for this. And I've never understood why people dislike Paul Rudd. I think he's just charming and pretty charismatic and just a genuinely funny guy. He's maybe a little cookie cutter, I guess, in regards to his comedic style and his appearance and features and whatnot, I guess, but I don't think you can really hold that against him. I don't know. I've always really liked Paul Rudd in just about everything he's been in, even some of the bad stuff, and I think this is one of his better performances. Nice.
I will say that this, as of this recording a couple days ago, was the 20-year anniversary of Clueless.
Oh, wow.
So
you would know that.
I know you guys all had your calendars marked. I know that you guys celebrated it in your own way, but...
Did you look that up or know it off the top of your head?
No comments. So anyway, Paul Rudd was fantastic in this movie.
Yes.
I agree. He's a very charismatic guy. I really like his comedic sensibility, and I know that he did some... I don't know the specifics, but I know that he's credited with... he has a co-writer credit with Adam McKay. So from what I understand, it's mostly... Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish's original script, but Adam McKay and Paul Rudd kind of added to it or tweaked it. I believe. I don't know the specifics, but anyway, I think that it really played well into what Paul Rudd has established himself as a comedic actor, and I don't think we've really seen him as an action star or anything, but I think it really kind of it was tailored really well to his charisma and his energy. And I think that the script particularly, like in my review, I don't think I was harsh or anything, but I think that I definitely mentioned that it kind of struggled here and there, and you could really tell that it was a troubled production. But one area that they really, really did well at was they gave Scott Lang something to fight for, something to really put the audience into his corner with the whole out of prison and his daughter, kind of fighting for his daughter, I guess, and that kind of dynamic and that kind of establishment there was really strong for me, and it really made me care for the character and really made me, excited to watch him hopefully overcome evil and all that stuff. But yeah, and one thing that bugged me about it, and this is a small nitpick, and this is all based on marketing and everything, but man, I hated that they cut the Paul Rudd's whole, like, is it too late to change the name? There's two shots in the trailer where he talks about the name Ant-Man and how he doesn't like it. Like, there's a shot where he says that to Hank Pym, and then he says it to another character. I don't think we'll spoil that in the episode. But he says to another character, he says, "I didn't pick the name," or whatever. And that was cut from the finished product. and I was like super bummed out because that was such a nice that was such a fun thing to have into an action superhero movie that is so bizarre and so unique. To have the character actually say okay, yeah, Ant-Man, that's a ridiculous name. So did you guys notice that at all?
I did, yeah. I'm kind of in your corner on that. I was very disappointed that they didn't have that in there. I thought it was funny. It was probably my favorite part of the trailers, and I thought it would have gone really well with the tone of the movie because it is ridiculous and the name is ridiculous, and the fact that the character would acknowledge that the name is ridiculous, it makes sense to me. So I was a little disappointed, like you were.
Yeah, I think there's still a line in there where he does address it, and I think the character in general is pretty humble, and he's pretty. I'm not saying you're wrong. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think there could have been a little bit more self-awareness and maybe a little bit more self-deprecation. I think.
Okay.
But
where does he acknowledge it? Does he say it specifically?
I don't want to spoil it.
Okay. Okay.
he doesn't say. He says a line similar to what you're referencing.
Okay.
And there's a point where they reference the Avengers,
right?
Which I think everybody saw that coming because Marvel is. All the movies are very incestuous and tied together now, and so he references the Avengers, and it's in a very self-deprecating way. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was
a good line.
It was a really good line, and I was like, I think those notes all put together make him a pretty humble character and pretty in the spirit of what I assume his character is like in the comics, and what I would expect out of that kind of character.
Okay,
so that didn't really bother me, I guess.
Okay, I just kind of wonder if, and this may be my not necessarily bias, but this may be the reports of Edgar Wright leaving because Disney and Marvel kind of wanted to put their imprint in the movie or have their say in it instead of having this. But I kind of wonder if that was kind of a thing, like maybe Disney was like, okay, well, we don't really need the hero of the movie talking about how silly the name is because this is a pretty risky property, even though it's Marvel's 12th movie,
right?
And they've all been just going to the bank with it. Although I guess the box office returns are kind of with, I would say, cutting out those lines probably didn't help the box office take if it is a disappointment as it seems to be. But
well, you mentioned Edgar Wright and how it was a troubled production, and I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts were on the script and how the tone was captured and maintained throughout the movie, because I definitely saw Edgar Wright's fingerprints all over the script, but not done to the same level as he would do. He's such a quirky and unique filmmaker, Edgar Wright is, that no one else can really match him. I mean, I'm not saying he's this an unsurmountable talent. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's so unique that there just aren't other filmmakers like him. Yeah. He's like just like Danny Boyle or Terry Gilliam. Like when you're watching a Terry Gilliam movie.
Right.
Same thing with Edgar Wright. And I could pick it up in the dialogue and maybe a little bit the filmmaking and editing, but it was nowhere near an Edgar Wright level movie.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it was bad. I think that would have been a really cool thing to see, is Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, him directing it, writing it, editing it, producing it. That would be so much fun, and I would have preferred that, I think.
Oh, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I would have preferred that, but I'm pretty happy with what we got, and I think I'm glad that he added what he did to it. I think he definitely made it, probably improved it from what it was and what it ultimately is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Pat, what did you think of Edgar Wright's absence?
I think you can feel his presence there. Like you said, there's definitely a comedic touch to this movie that we've all kind of touched on a little bit. But I think I kind of agree with Tiny in the sense that I would have really liked to see his Ant-Man, because there were certain problems that I had with the script. I touched on it a little bit in our broad strokes section. I think it's very exposition heavy. I don't know if that part is in his script or not, and I guess we'll never know. but I just felt like there was a lot of them explaining what was going on, and they used what I always call comic book science. There was a lot of throwing around words that sound scientific just to I don't know if it's to confuse people or just kind of, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you don't know what they're talking about, so what they are talking about has to be right, sort of thing.
Yeah, it reminds me. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, no. I was just going to say it reminds me of like back in 24's days when they would just spout out techno babble like, oh, the Cisco kernel is breaking. It's like Cisco is the name of the company that is sponsoring the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, what were you about to say?
And from what I understand, a lot of the reason that he left in the first place was the fact that he didn't like the stuff that Disney and Marvel were kind of forcing on him to kind of connect this movie to the rest of the universe. Mm-hmm. And I completely agree with him. I felt like that stuff was definitely forced, and obviously we won't spoil what happens.
Right.
But I did like him mentioning the Avengers. I thought that was kind of a cute line, and it made sense to me because I've always had a problem. Once the Avengers movies happened, I've always said, well, why would there ever be a solo superhero movie again? Why wouldn't you just always have the Avengers? But so I kind of liked that he was almost acknowledging that. So I thought that was cute. But at the same time, there's a bigger scene later that ties in the Avengers even more, and that felt forced to me. So I almost kind of respect and agree with the fact that he didn't want that in his movie. And I would really like to see his Ant-Man movie. Not that I didn't like this movie. I liked it quite a bit, actually. But that part for me, it was fun. I got to see a character that I really like, kind of hang out with Ant-Man, which is another character I really like. But at the same time, I was just like, this is just forcing him into the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and we'll talk more about that. We'll do a proper spoiler section, I think, here in a bit. But I would love to have seen an Edgar Wright take on Ant-Man, and I can totally respect him for not wanting to have his image, the thing that he was working on for so many years, tarnished by forcing a connection to this greater universe. Even though, I mean, yeah, the greater universe is kind of the big bankroll of the whole franchise as a whole and everything. But I have the utmost respect for Edgar Wright, specifically because he chose to walk away from something that he worked so hard on, presumably because they were trying to force him to go against his vision from his perspective. And it's interesting because I can't remember her name, but Pat, you just shared this on the Nerd You're Looking For Facebook page. But the director of something, what was it?
It was the director of Selma. I'm terrible with names. If you listen to our podcast, you know Tyler gets me about it all the time. I don't remember her name, but she was the director of Selma. She just turned down Black Panther.
Right, and she turned it down because she thought that there would be too much compromise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, which
pretty much is a lot. It sounded like a lot of the same reasons Edgar Wright left Ant-Man.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if this, it's interesting to think, and this is pure conjecture, but I kind of wonder if this kind of method or this kind of trend of, I don't know if there are any other, like, there's no telling who else they've approached for different projects and everything, and if any other directors have passed on Marvel projects specifically for this reason. But the fact that the public is becoming aware of, okay, Edgar Wright left Ant-Man because of this. That was the reported reason. I don't know if it was ever officially confirmed or anything like that, but I know that Jon Favreau had trouble with Iron Man 2. The reason that he stopped after Iron Man 2 is because Marvel had given him a release date and wouldn't move it or anything like that. So he was confined to this release date, and he couldn't put out the product that he wanted to because the Marvel heads wouldn't move or do anything with the thing. I think there was also money involved there. But anyway, and then now this director isn't wanting to compromise. I kind of wonder if in the face of DC really spawning their whole cinematic universe, I kind of wonder if Marvel's going to stumble more here, or if it's going to continue being profitable, at least through to Infinity War, because they've got some. If Ant-Man is underperforming with this release, I kind of wonder how the Inhumans and I can't remember what else is next, but Black Panther also is kind of not unknown, but to the masses who don't read the comics like me, I don't really know Black Panther. I don't really know the Inhumans. I just know from what I've seen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I kind of wonder if that's indicative of how Marvel's going to go, or if they're going to change in any way. What do you guys think of that?
I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I think, like I said, I think Marvel's kind of like nailed this thing down. Like, it seems like they know what direction they're taking everything, and they can kind of do what they want, really. And it's like, why do they need to kowtow to directors, really? I have a feeling that's kind of why Joss Whedon is not going to do the next Avengers movie. I mean, and I don't blame him. You know, he's a pretty versatile guy, anyways. He likes to do different things. He doesn't really stick to one. I mean, he's done TV shows for 10 years, but you know what I mean. Like he mixes it up, and so I think that probably has something to do with it as well. But I don't know. I'm not sure I really care, because they're cranking out such great stuff. Whatever they're doing works.
Interesting.
So I'm just not really questioning it, but I understand where you're coming from, though, because you know, you get attached to this stuff, and there's always the threat that it's not going to deliver, and if it doesn't, it just throws a wrench in everything. And so I know where you're coming from, but I'm not really worried about it.
Okay, Pat, how about you? Are you worried about it?
Not particularly. I think when you do something for as long as Marvel's done, and they have this long track record, I think you're going to stumble here and there, which, I mean, you guys have gone through all of the Marvel movies. You did your Marvel Cinematic Universe retrospective, so you guys talked a little bit about how they've stumbled here and there. I just think that a studio does something for so long, directors are gonna say no here and there. So I don't think it's indicative of the quality of the movies or the pressure that they're putting on these directors or anything like that. I just think that you have so many moving parts. It's hard to kind of get everybody together and get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's get back to talking about Ant-Man specifically. I mentioned before that the action scenes in my eyes were just really pretty spectacular. I loved the way that they set up confined areas, or at least I'm talking about post heist sequence. Like, there's a couple confined areas, but once they drop down in size, it becomes just this massive battleground and stuff like that. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But the heist specifically, what did you guys think of that? And what did you guys think of the the supporting characters of Scott's friends? There was Michael Pena and T.I. Of all people, T.I. was in this movie. And then that other guy that was in The Dark Knight, he was the crazy guy that Joker hired for with the Rachel Dawes name tag. What'd you guys think of them, and then also the heist specifically?
Go ahead, Pat.
I love the heist. As I mentioned before, it felt a lot like a Mission Impossible type of scene. I really appreciate that. I love those movies, and I just love caper movies in general. So I liked the planning leading up to it, and just the heist itself. His friends, I mean, I liked Michael Pena. He was fantastic. I couldn't really give or take the other two, to be honest with you. They kind of just filled out the movie for me. I mean, T.I., it is what it is.
You know, he was... I agree. Michael Pena was the standout of the supporting characters. I did not like I can't remember the actor's name, but David, whatever. He was the guy from The Dark Knight. I felt like he was putting... His accent was just horrid. But T.I. I thought did okay for, you know, he did about as well as you would expect a rapper to do in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And then also, the heist I thought was a lot of fun. Tiny, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. And you know, they gave us they gave us a few heists, really, because you know, you have the one where Scott Lang breaks into Hank Pym's house and knocks out the safe and all that stuff, and that was fun. I mean, that's classic caper heist stuff. But then the big heist at the end where they're breaking into Pym Tech and that was like Ocean's 13 kind of stuff, Ocean's 11 kind of stuff. Not quite as intricate and gimmicky or whatever, but really fun like that. I'm with Pat. I love heist movies, and and caper stuff. The Sting and the Ocean's movies and stuff. It's just awesome. And yeah, the Friends. I've always been a big fan of Michael Pena.
Me too.
Another actor who has the capability to do really quality comedy and drama. He's had some pretty questionable roles, but I enjoy him always, and he was so funny. I mean, those three characters were, I'm guessing, about 80% Edgar Wright.
Probably.
You know, I mean, especially Michael Pena. He was so much like, gosh, why can't I think of his name?
Like a Nick Frost character?
Nick Frost, yeah. So much Nick Frost on that character.
He was covered in frost.
Covered in frost. He was frosted. But yeah, when he went into his diatribes about how, so I was talking to this guy, right? And he's like at these fancy places.
that felt so Edgar Wright.
It did. And it was so funny. I loved that stuff. I like T.I. too. I don't think he's too bad. I thought he was okay in American Gangster when he was in that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He's fine, and I've seen him in some other things. He's whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care.
So Baskin Robbins. That I just want to say I loved that scene. That scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we can kind of start winding down and going into spoilers here in a second. But what do you guys think? Oh, what did you guys think of Evangeline Lilly? Because I felt like it was nice to see her in a franchise that she had a reason to be in it.
Yeah.
But it was I thought she was good. She was a little underused, and I kind of feel like she brought some weight to the characters. One of the problems that I had, actually, and I'm kind of all over the place, but the motivation of Hank Pym to break into Pym Tech to get the Yellow Jacket suit, which is the whole plot of the movie, I felt like that wasn't clearly defined to us, or at least it wasn't communicated enough. We get the backstory of why he retired or why he stopped doing the Ant-Man stuff or whatever, and I guess that leads into why he doesn't want anyone to have the technology. But I feel like that was more a personal tragedy for him, and we won't say what exactly it was, but I feel like that was more a tragedy for him. And like the scene where Scott asked him why, or they asked him why he doesn't just put on the suit and go do it, and he's just like, wearing the suit where it takes a toll on you. And I don't know if they were trying to say like, okay, the tragedy is the toll that he's talking about, or is this like an actual physical toll of the comic book science, as you put it, Pat, that moving the atoms closer together and shrinking them? Is there like a sickness in him from that? I feel like that was part of the clunkiness of the script for me was in that. I felt like there was a lot of scenes of him saying, like, I don't want anyone to have this technology or anything like that, and I don't feel like there was really a communicated thing communicated to us to tell us why it's such a horrible idea to have this technology. Like, I was when Darren Cross gave his little spiel that showed the video and everything, I was like, this could actually be pretty damn awesome for the military. So I don't know. What did you guys think of that? Did you guys think that Hank Pym's motivations were made clear, or am I crazy, or what?
No, I really kind of agree with you. I'm glad that you brought it up, because when he said that wearing the suit takes a toll on you, I thought to myself, he's saying that to Scott. Mm-hmm. Then why the hell, like, that's not much of a pitch for you to go in there. You might become crazy later if you wear this suit too much. So I thought that was kind of odd. But, I kind of agree with you that a lot of little things here and there weren't really explained, which is crazy to think because they over-explained a lot of stuff in the beginning. But there's pieces here and there that I'm kind of fuzzy about as well, because I don't think it was, like you said, clearly defined.
Right. Tiny?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I think the vagueness of that statement, that solitary line, that it takes a toll on you, I think that the mysteriousness of that is kind of fun, but I think in the right hands of a writer and director, they could have gone into much more depth with that, and it would have been more satisfying. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a big problem with it, but yeah, I completely see that as in regards to that specific example, but like the heist stuff, yeah, that needed a lot of work too. And then you mentioned Evangeline Lilly. I have a pretty strong opinion about her in this movie. I think she's a solid actress and a pretty good actress. I loved her on Lost, but this is just so not her role, not in her wheelhouse. I think this role would have been so much better in the hands of like an actress who's done comedic stuff before. I don't know, like an Anne Hathaway or like I don't know. Oh gosh, what's her name? Who's going to be in the X-Men movies?
Olivia Munn.
Olivia Munn would have been awesome in that role.
I don't think she's proven enough as an actress. Olivia Munn.
I don't know. I think it falls more into her wheelhouse, though.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Because there's several lines of comedy that fall on her ability to deliver them, and I think she did okay. Evangeline Lilly did okay, but I think a truly comedic actress and a quality actress would have really shined in those moments, and I don't think she quite did.
I see your point. Yeah. I thought she was fine. I thought she was okay, but I just don't think she had a lot to work with. Pat, are you still there? I heard the thing.
Yeah, I can still hear you guys. We're good.
I heard the Skype thing, but anyway, what did you think of Evangeline Lilly?
I thought she was all right. I appreciated the subtleness of the love story, that they kind of didn't hit us over the head with it. I appreciated that. I thought they built that relationship really well, and it really pays off towards the end. There's a really funny scene at the end that I really appreciated because they didn't hit us over the head with it. But her in this movie, I mean, she's okay. She's okay. I mean, there wasn't anything about her performance that I was really drawn to. I mean, it could have been anybody in this movie, in this role, and I think they would have done just fine. I think that her being teamed up with Paul Rudd, I think her deficiency in kind of her comedic timing was overshadowed by him. Because, I mean, you put her against someone like that who has kind of made their name in comedies. I think that it kind of points out other people's comedic timing or lack thereof. Is that making any sense? I'm not being as articulate as I'd like to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I'm with you.
Okay, yeah, I just think Paul Rudd is so good that he points out when somebody's not up to his level.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I appreciate a lot of what they did with her character too, because I think I loved how significant she was. You know, she was integral to the plot, in that she was there to the heist, you know, to get into to Pimtech and all that stuff. And she was hugely integral in the development of Hank Pym as a character. You know, the father-daughter rocky relationship was actually really compelling, and there's a few scenes where that emotion really spills out, and I thought they were both great, and I thought that was a great move for the character. And then there's some other stuff I don't want to spoil, but yeah, she wasn't just she wasn't overly sexy. Like, they weren't dressing her up like a slut,
right.
And like, you know, she wasn't just there to be a pretty face and say a few lines and fall in love with the lead guy. You know, she had a role, and I appreciate that. And I think Marvel has been pretty decent in that respect with their female characters.
There's despite what some of the media.
Yeah, there's some criticisms you can levy at them without question, but I think they've done pretty well, and she's a shining example of that. Yeah,
I agree. So let's move on to spoilers here for a second, but just really briefly, I have one final question before we move on to spoilers. So what do you guys think that regardless of the box office take and everything, do you guys think that from Ant-Man itself, is there a sustainable, contained, like, franchise opportunity with this character, or would you guys rather it be just a one-off Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of thing? I know that he's going to be in Captain America: Civil War, and I know that there's, you know, the movie kind of leaves it open for a sequel. But do you guys think that, like, I personally, I preferred or I enjoyed the action sequences, and I feel like that if if the opportunity presented itself, maybe in Phase 4, or whatever, for an Ant-Man 2 movie, I think that with a director, with someone seeing through the production beginning to end and really kind of creating a story that isn't having to work with a troubled production or anything like that, I think that it could be an entertaining movie, but I don't know if it would be profitable for Marvel. I guess I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this character sustainable for multiple movies in its canon, or is this just a one-off cinematic universe tie-in?
I know I really want to see more of him without question. Mm-hmm. I really want to see more Ant-Man. I think if he showed up in Infinity Wars and Civil War here and maybe I don't know if he's going to be in either of those, but
he's going to be in Civil War.
He's going to be in Civil War. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if he just shows up as an ancillary character, I think that'll be pretty satisfying. But I'd love to see a second movie.
As an ancillary character.
Oh my God!
Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I can't believe neither of you have called me Anthony yet.
Wait till the spoilers.
Ant Tiny.
God damn it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, go ahead. Sorry. God damn it. Finish your thoughts and we can go to spoilers.
Yes.
Get Pat's thoughts. God damn it.
I think after seeing this, I think the Russo brothers could do something incredible with an Ant-Man sequel.
Ooh.
You know, given what they did with the Captain America sequel, I thought, I don't know, I think that first Captain America movie didn't leave a lot to be desired, at least in my opinion, and they just blew it all out of the water with that sequel. Mm-hmm. So seeing what they could do with Scott Lang and Hank Pym and all the other characters, man, that would be awesome.
Totally. Pat, what do you think?
I'm right there with you. I would be definitely interested in seeing another one. Now, whether or not they make another one, given the box office, is kind of remains to be seen. But I really liked how this movie felt like it was contained. Like it made sense that the Avengers didn't come in and kind of save the day. So if they could make another movie like this that is kind of a self-contained story, I'd definitely be interested in seeing it. I know in the comic book, his daughter plays a huge role in his life, like she does in this particular movie. And so if they could kind of revolve another movie around her, I think that would be a great way to kind of contain the story. So I'd definitely be interested in seeing another Ant-Man movie.
That's a good idea.
Nice. So that does it for our discussion of Ant-Man. And stay tuned after the episode, after the pre-record outro, because we have a lengthy spoiler section where we deconstruct our thoughts on the spoilerific aspects of the movie there. So that'll be forthcoming. For now, we're going to switch over to Potpourri, which, if this is your first time listening, Potpourri is the section of the podcast where we just basically talk about anything that we've watched lately, anything that we're excited for, anything like that, anything we want as long as it smells good. So, Pat, since you are our guest, why don't you get us kicked off with what did you bring for us to discuss on Potpourri?
All right. Well, I watched another movie this weekend. It was released the same week as Ant-Man, and that is Trainwreck, which is a movie that I've been looking forward to for a while. It was written by its star, Amy Schumer, which I can't decide how I feel about Amy Schumer. My wife really loves her show, and I appreciate her comedy. She's a stand-up comedian, and so I appreciate why people like her. I don't really get it. But anyways, it was directed by Judd Apatow, which if you see this movie, you could tell, because I say that because it's 20 minutes too long. I don't think he's ever been in the editing room, ever. I don't think he knows what an editing room is, because, I mean, this movie would have been so, I don't want to say perfect, but it would have been such a tighter movie if it was an hour 40 versus the hour, I think it was like an hour 2 or 2 hours and 2 minutes. It was just a little bit too long. Some of the bits just didn't work for me. That being said, I do think it was really funny. It really tried to be a more toned down version of They Came Together. Like it tries to kind of poke fun at romantic comedies, but at the same time, it follows all the same beats of a romantic comedy. So it's kind of hard to kind of poke fun at something when you basically are that thing that you're making fun of. At a certain point, I was just waiting for the fight to come because there's always that big fight, and then the couple, you see the montage of them staring off into the distance and just kind of being by themselves for a while. And so I was just kind of waiting for it, and it happened, and it was kind of disappointing. It felt really forced. The argument was just silly, and I'm just like, oh, you're two grown-ups. Just be grown-ups. It's not what you're arguing about. Doesn't matter. It's really stupid. But that being said, I kind of kind of trashed it for a while. But it is a really funny movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. Amy Schumer is really good in this movie. I was surprised that. She's obviously a funny woman, and so I wasn't surprised that she was funny in this movie, and I wasn't surprised since she wrote it that it was a funny movie. But I was surprised at how well she plays the drama. There's a section in this movie where she has to give this really powerful speech, and she just nails it. It's ridiculous. It was really touching, and I appreciated that. I thought it was kind of weird that Bill Hader plays kind of a straight guy. Like, why would you cast Bill Hader and then have him play a straight guy? Mm-hmm. Like, it was just kind of strange. Some of his jokes, or what are supposed to be his jokes, don't really land for me. So it was just kind of like he's the straight and narrow kind of guy in this movie, and she's the crazy one, which is fine because it kind of flips the script a little bit. Because in most romantic comedies, it's the guy that's kind of the project, and in this case, it's Amy Schumer, which. Another little weird kind of nitpick inside Amy Schumer, her name, obviously she plays a fictionalized version of herself, so her name is Amy. Mm-hmm. In this movie, her name is Amy, and it just bothers me. Like, could she play a character that isn't named Amy? Like, could she not remember? Like, when people call her the wrong name, is she not going to respond to it? Like, little stuff like that kind of bothers me. Mm-hmm. But there was a couple of athletes in this movie that really stole the show for me. LeBron James, which I know, Matt, you're not a big sports fan. He plays basketball. Oh, that's the one where they dribble and they shoot it in the hoop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and he doesn't play he's not a basketball player. He's the basketball player.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you talking about in the movie?
No, in real. Shut up. For like a second, you got me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he doesn't know," and so I was going to explain it, but you're just being an ass. Anyways, and so if you follow sports, you kind of know who LeBron James, and you kind of know his persona. And in this movie, it really plays off of that, and it kind of shows you a side of him, which obviously is not a real side of him. Well, I don't know because I don't know him personally, right. But it just kind of plays off that public persona of LeBron James, and it's really funny. I think that in other movies, I think if they got LeBron James and they found this character and it worked really well, that they would have overused him. But I think in this movie, he's really used just the perfect amount. He brings that comedic relief. Not that this movie necessarily needed it because it was really funny, but just they use him the perfect amount. And it just all of his jokes completely land. And then there's John Cena in this movie, which
oh, yeah.
He doesn't play John Cena in the movie, but his scenes, the little that he's in it, is just fantastic. He plays one of her boyfriends in the beginning of the movie, and there is a bit where they're watching this movie, and I actually do like. It's kind of hokey, but I do like when movies when characters go to a movie. In a movie, and they watch like a fake movie, and in this, and in Trainwreck, they're watching a Daniel Radcliffe movie. He's like a rogue dog walker, and it's really, really funny. But anyways, they're watching this movie, and they get in an argument, and this couple behind them start yelling at them because they're being loud. And John Cena's character tries to trash talk with this guy, and it just like really like homoerotic stuff. It's really hilarious. Like this just big bulky guy is yelling stuff about punching this guy in the dick hole, and it's really really funny. And their scenes, LeBron James and John Cena, really kind of surprised me in this movie because they stole every scene that they were in. It was fantastic.
Nice. So you would recommend seeing Trainwreck then? I
would, but I would not get too excited. Like I would definitely hold your expectations. Don't get your hopes too high.
Okay.
For Trainwreck. It is funny, but like I said, it's about 20 minutes too long, and there's a lot of bits that don't work, at least for me. But I did find myself laughing a lot. So yes, I would suggest it, but just kind of damper your expectations a little bit.
Okay. Nice. Tiny, why don't we take our talents to South Beach here? Or is that something LeBron James says?
Did you just look that up?
No. I pulled that. I know my things. I did some Googling after How I Met Your Mother made a reference. Anyway, Tiny,
God.
Start talking, Tiny.
He doesn't play there anymore.
Well, it's still a... God damn it.
He did play. I'm proud to know that you knew that he did play there.
Right, yes.
Oh, well. Yeah,
yes.
That's good. I am embarrassed to bring this up. I watched 50 Shades of Grey.
You should be embarrassed.
I should be.
I see the tattoo.
I just really wanted to see it because it's a cultural phenomenon, and I was like, what the hell is everybody so crazy about? And so that's why I really wanted to see it, because I had to know. It was worse than I thought it would be. It was so bad. Have either of you seen it, Pat, Matt?
I haven't, but I plan to, specifically because on my podcast app, I listen to a lot of different movie podcasts, and a few of them have done review episodes about 50 Shades of Grey, so I have that on my radar to see it before that, specifically so I can listen to the episodes, but I haven't seen it yet.
Have you seen it, Pat?
I have not, and I have almost no desire to see it.
Okay.
It's one of those movies that I wasn't interested in it at all, but if it came out and like the reviews were really glowing, I probably would have seen it, but I've heard just terrible things about it, so I have no desire to see it.
Okay. It is exceptionally bad. It is awful. I thought... I just don't know why I thought it would be better than it was, because there's this blog that this British girl wrote where she reviewed the first book chapter by chapter.
I've heard about this.
The title of the blog is, get your bleep button ready, Matt.
Okay.
It's called 50 Shades of Tedious
Yes.
And I read the entire thing in one sitting at work one day and had tears streaming out of my eyes from this girl breaking down each chapter. It's so funny. And she just absolutely tears it to pieces, the book, which I mean, based on what she says in her reviews, it's just absolutely horrendously written and just like an affront to the art of penmanship and authorship. It's that bad. And so I figured the movie would cut out some of that flack and that fluff, but it really didn't. I mean, the characters are so one-dimensional and bland, and it is absolutely uncharacteristic in respect to the dominant, submissive S&M community, which I'm not a member of, but I know those people absolutely hate this story because it is not accurate at all to what those people are into. And you know, I'm a person who believes, you know what, if it makes you happy and you're not hurting anybody, go for it. And so if that's what makes you happy, then go ahead and do it. And I don't think it's right to take that away from people if it makes them happy. And so, you know, go ahead and do that. Like, I support that. And it upsets me that it was so egregiously misrepresented in something that's basically a cultural phenomenon that has made tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in both print and film. And it's just really awful. I mean, the script is the worst thing. It's like a 13-year-old heard about something called S&M and was like, I want two characters to fall in love and do that. It's just it's so. And it's like people talk about how graphic it is. It's not. It's super tame. Like
Really?
he just spanks her a little bit and they bang, and that's the. And I rented the unrated version too. Yeah, and so you see more, and I was like, "This is like the tamest S&M I've ever seen in my life." What the hell is? Not that I've seen a lot of S&M.
Nice save.
Not that I've seen a lot. Hand to God. But seriously, it's just like it was just such a misrepresentation of what that is, and it's like. You're not. It's just not. It's not artistic at all. There's just no art to it. I was just so blown away at how it's so cheesy. Like the line. There's a line that I have been repeating because of its cheesiness. Because like I'm gonna spoil it for you. The girl is like, "So are you gonna make love to me now?" And he's like, "I don't make love. I hard." Like I've just been reusing that. Like my girlfriend, like, are you gonna leave now? And I don't leave. I walk out hard. I've just been like reusing because it's so ridiculously cheesy. It was just so bad. I cannot wait for the riff tracks. They are just gonna rip it. Like think of if you've seen any of the Twilight movies. Take the super cheesy dialogue scenes and turn it into 2 hours. That is the movie.
I am going to watch that soon. Like next week we're doing extended potpourri. That's going to be the first thing I bring up, Tiny.
Me and my girlfriend just laughed at it for 2 hours. It was so bad. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, look for my thoughts on 50 Shades of Grey next week. So I'll go ahead and round us out with my potpourri section. If anything else you guys want to talk about with 50 Shades of Grey?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So this week, if you're a follower of the Obsessive Viewer blog at obsessiveviewer.com, you will know that I've been tweeting a lot and posting a lot of stuff about Indy Film Fest, which I think it was episode 66 of the podcast when we talked about iOrigins. Tiny and I talked about how last year we went and saw iOrigins as the opening film of Indy Film Fest. Indy Film Fest is a nonprofit organization that puts together this film festival with both feature films and a ton of different short films from filmmakers and things and people. And so they have a bunch that, like, they've been doing this for like 15, 16 years. I think this is the 15th year that they've done it. And I realized like way too late that it was coming up. So cheap as I am, I sent an email to them saying like, "Hey, do you guys have press passes?" Not thinking that's a non-profit organization. So I didn't hear back, but I went to opening night, and I'll talk more about Indie Film Fest probably next week for extended potpourri, because I did end up seeing a lot of different movies, and it's still going on now. I plan on seeing a couple more movies. So I'll just talk about opening night. And the opening night film, the film that opened the Indie Film Fest in 2015, was Sleeping with Other People, the romantic comedy with Jason Sudeikis and Alison Brie that's coming out in September. And it's basically about two people. I wrote a review on the blog about it. I liken it to When Harry Met Sally. It's about two people who, in college, lost their virginity to one another in a one-night stand, and then 12 years later, they bump into each other in New York, and then they realize that the one-night stand that they lost their virginities to each other at has negatively affected every relationship they've had since then. And so they strike up this platonic friendship, and it's basically from there. It's like a When Harry Met Sally kind of situation where they're friends, but they have this mutual attraction, and they're trying to keep that in check and everything. Meanwhile, they have different things, and I have to say I absolutely loved this movie. I am far and away an unapologetic fan of the romantic comedy, and this movie is one of the better ones I've seen in recent years. I mentioned that it's like When Harry Met Sally. I have no problem saying that this is the When Harry Met. This could potentially be the When Harry Met Sally for the millennial generation.
Wow.
And what makes it so great is that it's funny. It's organically funny. It's rated R, but it doesn't rely on lowbrow humor or like dick and fart jokes or anything like that. The humor comes organically from the characters' interactions and things like that. And what I really, really appreciated on a very deep level here is how much it resonates with the modern dating scene for 20-somethings in modern dating, basically. Like, there's a lot of things in this movie that I personally resonated with, or personally resonated with me, and personally know people that have been in situations similar to things that these characters are. Like, for instance, Jason Sudeikis, he is this womanizer who doesn't have... I realize that sounds like I'm a womanizer. I'm trying to say that I'm a womanizer, but it's not. That's not the connection I made to it. But anyway, like Jason Sudeikis, his journey throughout the movie is that he's a womanizer who does like one night stands. He doesn't do like relationships or anything like that. It's kind of a standard thing, but there's a humanity to him. Like he's slowly becoming. What sets him apart from different characters with that same like type or that stereotypical character is that he has this journey in which he realizes and knows why he is like this, and he's actively working to improve himself, and he notices and realizes how much his relationship or his friendship with Alison Brie's character is doing that. Is improving him personally, and he's wrestling with his feelings for her throughout the movie. And on the other side of it, Alison Brie's character is this character who is in love with a character who takes that love that she has for him and completely takes it for granted and has no conscience over the power that he has over her. And so she's caught in this addiction to him, and she's constantly improving him, and he's just a shady ass character, and it's a really great journey for both of these characters as they interplay with each other, and they have this dramatic friendship basically. And it's a romantic comedy. It follows a lot of the same tropes. Like, there are, on both sides of the characters, they have the standard best friend / voice of reason kind of characters. Like Alison Brie's version of that is Natasha Lyonne plays her just best friend, and it's kind of like she pops in like in 2 or 3 scenes, and it's kind of like, okay, that seems like they're trying to just check off this trope from the checklist and everything. She doesn't really make a big impression or anything in it. But on the other hand, Jason Sudeikis' answer to that trope is in the form of his friend / business partner Xander, who's played by Jason how do you pronounce his name? Jason Mantzoukas from The League, and
I don't know.
He was also in Parks and Recreation. He was Dennis Feinstein, the perfume guy.
I'm not sure.
You would know him if you saw him. Anyway,
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, he and his wife, played by Andrea Savage, is kind of like they're the voice of reason characters for Jason Sudeikis' character, and they pop up more frequently, and they're a little bit more integral to the plot, and that's something that I really appreciated. So anyway, I've said a lot about it. It's a really, really, really good movie. It releases in September. I think September 11th is when it releases, and I highly recommend going to see this movie because it is so... It kind of blew me away because it is such a very apt deconstruction of dating and modern relationships under the frame of a somewhat standard romantic comedy. But it's the characters and the journey that they take that really, really elevates it past its genre, really.
Cool.
So that's Sleeping with Other People. Comes out September 11th.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Did you know about this film going into it, or was it something, oh, well, I'm just going to go to this film festival and this just so happened to be the movie they were playing, or...
I hadn't actually really heard that much about it. I knew that there was a trailer out for it, and I knew that Jason Sudeikis and Alison Brie were in it, and that alone was enough to sell me on the movie anyway. And then I found out that it was the opening film of Indy Film Fest, and I was like, I need to go to Indy Film Fest, and I really wanted to see it, and that was just kind of the icing on the cake for that. And also just Indie Film Fest. If you guys are listening to this will drop on Thursday, and if you're listening to this, Saturday is the closing night and awards, or closing night and after party of it. They're going to screen the movie Wildlike. Go to it. It's such a cool environment. Like sitting down in the seat at the Toby Theater and the Indianapolis Museum of Art before the movie started, before Sleeping with Other People started, like I just felt like just such an energy in the crowd of all these people that love movies were there for Indie Film Fest. And like in that moment, I was like, "F*** me! Why did I not think ahead, buy an all-access pass, take off work, and cover everything for the blog and everything? Like, why did I not think to do that?" So, like, that is my plan. Like, I'm laying down the gauntlet right now. Next year, 1 year from now, I will have a full write-up of as much as I can see and write at Indie Film Fest 2016. I will have an all-access pass. I will have complete... I will make that my bitch next year. And yeah, it's such a fun environment. I'm hoping that I can get one of the executive director. I met him at the after party. I introduced myself and handed him my card and told him that I would love to have him on the podcast for an Indie Film Fest wrap-up episode to kind of talk about the festival and all that. So I'm hoping that comes through. So maybe in a couple weeks you guys might be hearing an interview with him. But yeah, it's just, if you're in the Indianapolis area, it's inspired me to, like, I've been writing stuff on the website this past weekend, specifically for Indie Film Fest or about Indie Film Fest, and I've made a complete section of the website devoted to Indianapolis things. So I'm hoping that this kind of spurs us into more local coverage of Indianapolis things.
I can echo that sentiment too, because I had the same reaction last year when we saw I Origins. Mm-hmm. It's just such a cool energy there, like you said.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And
I just recently went to my first film festival myself, and I can really contest to that. And it's really one of the reasons why I asked you if you had known about that film going into it was it was really interesting for me, because being the big film buff I am, it's really hard for me to go to a movie and not know like a ton about it.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting to go to a movie, and I saw multiple movies that day, and not have any idea what was going to happen. It was really interesting, and I was kind of blown away by the quality of films that I was watching.
Yeah, and that's such a rare thing these days, and it's something that I love. And there's like, I'll talk about it next week on our extended Potpourri episode, but there was one movie that I saw the next night that I knew nothing about, and all I knew was the premise, and it sounded cool, and I had some mixed feelings about it, but I love the feeling that, and this, I don't know if this says anything negative about the way that I view movies or anything like that. I don't know if this reflects poorly on me as a viewer, but I love knowing that my opinion of a movie is unsullied by either outside opinion or marketing or anything like that. Like, that is such a rare thing to accomplish these days, and being able to kind of have your own voice molded from your own experience seeing a movie is so rare that, like, these kind of events are exactly why I love it so much. Yeah, so I'll talk more about that in the next episode. And if you're interested in what I said, check out obsessiveviewer.com/Indianapolis. I'm hoping to fill that up with a lot of more local stuff. I know I have a section for like Heartland Film Festival that's going to be in October, and I have a section for a couple of the theaters that do pop-up screenings of like different specialty screenings and stuff like that. I think this weekend me and Tiny are going to go to the Artcraft Theater in Franklin, Indiana for a screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so hopefully we'll have more to talk about next week for that. But I think that about does it for us. Anything else you guys want to talk about or anything, or should we close it up?
Let's put a bow on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Wrap it up.
Well, Pat, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's been a blast having you on again. It's so sorry it's been so long. Why don't you go ahead and just tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can find all your stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's been a blast. I enjoy just kind of chit-chatting with you guys. I love talking movies with you guys. I feel a little bit intimidated sometimes because you guys know a little bit more than I do, but it's always fun. Anyways, you can find us on Twitter at The Nerds Podcast, Facebook.com/The Nerds Podcast. Check us out on Google+. iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any podcast directory. You can email us, thenerdyourlookingfor at gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel like we talked about earlier. I'm going to be posting our first Let's Play. I'm really excited about it. I think it's really funny and a really well-done video. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think about it.
Right on. I'm really looking forward to that Let's Play and all the stuff you guys are doing. Like that, YouTube is one area that I haven't cracked yet or done anything with or anything. So I'm really excited for you to kind of cultivate like a presence there. And Let's Play is just a perfect venue for you to kind of do some stuff on there. I'm excited for you. So. All right, well, we're going to throw it to the pre-record outro. Make sure that you stay after that for our spoiler discussion of Ant-Man if you've seen Ant-Man. If not, save that for later, and you can come back to it when you see it. Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
And out. Awesome.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was always fun. I always look forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Good Medea.
Yeah. Like Medea's family reunion. Hi, Pat.
Hey, guys.
Hola,
Hey,
Patrick.
can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit.
Sweet.
I'm sorry that I missed your call.
It's cool.
For some reason, I thought I was calling you, and I was dancing to the music. And by the time I realized that you are in fact calling me, it was too late, and you had already hung up.
You f*** up.
That is fantastic. That is going to be our tag.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at ObsessiveViewer.com, or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@obsessiveviewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at obsessiveviewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer and follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer, at ObsessiveTiny, and at I am Mike White. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, ObsessiveBookNerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice.
Again, thank you so much for listening.
We love you. Be excellent to each other.
All right, so let's go into spoilers for this really briefly, and then we'll go on to Potpourri. Although now that you're listening to this, it would be at the end of the episode, and you would have already heard us talk about Potpourri section. Anyway, so spoilers. First, let's start with the the Avengers tie-in. First of all, I'll get us kicked off. The scene, the moment that you realize that there is going to be an Avengers tie-in when he's riding Anthony and he sees. He sees that the warehouse that they're going to infiltrate for Stark to get whatever it was, the MacGuffin, in order to when he sees that it's the freaking new Avengers facility from Age of Ultron. I was like, I just kind of got like, oh, okay, that's awesome. That is awesome. But the actual way that it played out felt like very much like it felt like Marvel Studios was like, okay, who can we get who's the cheapest, who's available? Like, who can we get to come on to the movie for a couple of days and shoot scenes? And I guess the short straw landed on Anthony Mackie, which I love Anthony Mackie, and I love Falcon and all that, but it's also like he was calling, he was radioing back, and I'm like, who's he talking to?
Yeah.
Are they gonna have like a scene of someone else? Like, are they that like are their purse strings that like tight or whatever? But I thought that the action scene, the fight scene and everything was cool, and it was solid. So, what did you guys think of Falcon's cameo in Ant-Man?
I really loved it. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I really do. Mm-hmm. But it was just so fun that I really didn't care. I realized that we were, as an audience, we were being taken for a ride because it's like, well, we have to tie the Avengers in, and
right.
People will complain if there wasn't an actual Avenger in, even though he's not really he's sort of an Avenger.
He's an Avenger.
He's an Avenger, yeah. People will complain, so we're gonna do what we can, and we can get Anthony Mackie, so that's what we're gonna do. And so I completely agree with that. But at the same time, like, the comedy in that scene was so damn funny and just so fitting, and I love the way they played off of each other. It reminded me of gosh, what's it called? The part in the first Avengers movie where Iron Man and Thor get into it in the woods when he takes off with Loki, and then Captain America shows up. It reminded me of that. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? Like, it reminded me of that, you know? And I just thought it was so much fun that I really didn't care that it was a MacGuffin. It was fun.
Nice. Pat, what did you think of it?
I felt like it was a little forced. I did enjoy the scene. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was Ant-Man, who is a character that I was falling in love with, and it was Falcon, who is a character that I really enjoyed in Captain America. The only problem I had with it is it felt forced. It seemed like it was one of those things where they were running through the script and they said, well, there has to be action in so many pages. Like, there has to be certain bullet points or kind of just points where they have action in them, and it just felt like an excuse to have him fight somebody. I did, however, appreciate that, I mean, other than Iron Man, he's really the only other Avenger that really doesn't have a superpower. And Ant-Man really, to be honest with you, doesn't have a superpower. No. He gets all of his power from his suit. And so does the Falcon. So I thought that was a good character to kind of him to face off with. I appreciated that. But like I said, it just felt forced. I was excited at first when I was watching the movie when you see him riding the ant and you see the Avengers symbol and you're like, oh, that's the building from Age of Ultron, and you get excited, and then it was just like it slows down the movie, and after they fight, you don't actually see Scott get the thing. It was just kind of like, the Falcon radios back to him, and then the scene's over. I was like, well, he's still breaking into the Avengers building. You would think there would be more security than just one guy. So I just felt like that was kind of rushed.
Huh.
That's fair, yeah.
Man, that could have been such a big set piece for the movie. Instead of having just one Avenger on Ant-Man, that would have been an awesome sequence to have him infiltrate the Avengers and have the Avengers think like, what the hell is going on, and have like multiple ones trying to find him and everything, and kind of doing this whole espionage thing where he sneaks in and sneaks out and grabs it and all that. That's such a missed opportunity. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I just love how he was fighting. It was a reluctant fight. He was like, "Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about this.
I really respect you. I'm a big fan."
It was so funny.
That was really good. That was good. Yeah, but I think that overall it's a missed opportunity. But I have a gripe about my theater experience, though. I bought my ticket fairly early. Like, I bought it like maybe 20 minutes before the movie started, and when I got in there, I was the only one in there except for one guy that was on the phone. But it was before the movie, it was before the previews, it was before everything. So I sit there and I realize, like, oh, that's kind of weird. There's no sound coming from the it was a Regal theater, and Regal has the first look segments where they show like little behind the scenes things. So I was like, that's weird. So then when the preview started, there was still no sound. So some some local hero in the audience, not me, but just some hero, went and told them that there was no audio, so they like did whatever, and it was audio. Side note here. Half of the trailer for Everest sounds really cool. But anyway, but so at the end of the movie, about midway through the credits, the sound cuts off.
Jeez.
And I was so irritated because it did not come back on. So the stinger at the end of the movie, the scene after the credits, I saw lips moving. I didn't hear any of the audio, but I did look it up, and basically... What did you guys think of the after-credit scene? Pat, I know that you're a big comic book guy, and I assume that you read Civil War, so
yes,
I know that there's, from what I read, there is a reference to the Accord and stuff. Do you want to share your thoughts on that post-credit scene?
I really appreciated it. I enjoyed it a lot. It kind of hinted at the fact that there's some discontent between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark in that scene. I really liked it a lot, and of course, I mean, they're trying to bring Ant-Man into it, but I mean, I liked it a lot. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk a lot about a 30-second scene,
right?
I really appreciate it because we see it a little bit in the Avengers, but I liked how this is kind of the first real discontent you have between the two characters.
Nice, yeah, I agree. Tiny, what do you think?
Yeah, it was fun. I thought it was a fun direction to take with all the momentum they built with the Ant-Man movie to just kind of throw it in the mix with the Captain America storyline and the Winter Soldier and stuff like that. It was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was a fun direction to take it.
Cool. Okay, and we didn't mention this in the regular discussion or anything, but one thing that I really appreciated about this movie. And we can tie this into the spoilers because we can talk about Anthony. But I really, really am so happy, if anything else, that the scenes of the insects once he's ant-sized, like the giant insects and stuff, did not creep me out. And I think that's a testament to the movie because that is such a kind of uncanny valley kind of thing where if you make it too real, you're going to creep out the people that are insectophobic like me.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like probably 3 times in the last couple weeks, I've seen spiders in my apartment in the patterns of the paint on my ceiling because I'm so freaked out by spiders. And like they're not there. It's just, a Rorschach painting on my wall of spiders all over the place. But anyway, so I really appreciated that the scenes where he's riding an ant or he's commanding the ants and the ants are just blown up and everything. I really appreciated that didn't skeeve me out and creep me out or make me feel uncomfortable at all. And I thought that that's a really good testament to the production of the movie. What did you guys think of the actual scenes involving the insects and the method of commanding them and Anthony and all that stuff? What did you guys think?
I agree 100%. They weren't over anthropomorphized or anything. They weren't to a comic level. They were still animals, but at the same time they were emotive and they were relatable and pet-like, especially at the end, which I thought was pretty funny. I agree. They did a great job with it. They towed the line perfectly. It was well done.
Nice. Pat, what'd you think?
I liked them. The scenes with him and the ants they're cute. I mean, there's a lot of comedic scenes. I don't know. Maybe it was something I missed, but I just didn't buy the explanation of why he could command the ants.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, it's almost comes across as telepathic, but that's ridiculous. Like it transcends simple comic book science to be like, okay, like I didn't buy into the method of doing it. What did you guys think?
Yeah, it was like auditory, I guess, because he would think it, and there was like a little, I don't know, it was weird, and you have to have that in the movie in order for it to work, and I don't know, it's a huge suspension of your belief. I mean, you're suspending your belief anyways because there's unrealistic
suspending
science. Suspending disbelief, yeah, because there's unrealistic science in it anyways, right. But that's something that's expected. But this went went a little further than that.
If they had added like a scene where Hank Pym like explains to him, like if you just hum slightly or something, they'll do that. If they did something like that, then yeah. But it seemed like too far fetched for a movie, considering that it's a movie about a guy that can shrink down to a very small size and have powerful moves and stuff. Have the power of ants, basically. Yeah. And I feel like the pet owner relationship between Anthony and Scott Lang, while it was humorous, I appreciated that he got the he made a name for it and everything. Like when Anthony gets presumably killed, I was like, it's an ant. I don't I don't have any connection to this character besides the fact that it's charming that he's named him.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel anything when Anthony bit the dust?
Yes, you heartless bastard. Yeah, I mean, I did. Yeah, to a minor effect. You know, it's not like Hedwig and Harry Potter or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was whatever. I don't care. The ants don't live very long, anyways. So he's kind of. They're all kind of a one movie deal, anyways.
Yeah, farming and everything is it takes its toll. Pat, what did you think of Anthony? It takes its toll.
Honestly, I could care less. I mean, I liked the scenes. I thought it was cute, like I mentioned before. But for me, you couldn't tell that it was him anyways. He could have called every single ant Anthony, and you would have had to believe him because it didn't look anything different, at least to me, to every other ant that was in them. I mean, obviously it had wings, but all the other ants that had wings, it's like he could have called them all Anthony. And okay, yeah, sure, that's that ant that looks exactly like the other 100 ants that you've been talking to. So it really didn't make a whole lot of difference to me.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm not trying to say I don't think it was particularly like meant to emote or get elicit an emotional response out of us or anything, because I mean when he gets killed or whatever, like Ant-Man's literally like jumps onto another one and then all he says is like, you're gonna pay for this or whatever. But I didn't feel like that was the intention. I thought that maybe if they wanted to go that route they could have if they developed it a little more, but again it's an ant. What did you guys think of the final, and this can be kind of the end and we'll wrap it up and all that, but what did you guys think of the final like battle between Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man? What did you think of Darren Cross once he became Yellow Jacket? I personally thought that he looked terrifying in the suit. I thought that was really cool, and like I said before, seeing the scale of it change through the fight sequences, like they're in a helicopter and then it shrinks down and it's a massive battlefield basically. What did you guys think of the action and the climax of the movie post heist?
I thought it was great. I mean, I thought Yellow Jacket was a little, Cross. He was a little over the top. His whole mania that he went through or whatever was a little predictable and just kind of like, we've seen that before, and just not out of place really, because I don't know, it seemed like they kind of hoisted it on the excuse that it was the fact that he was shrinking and
it kind of made him kind of crazy.
Did something to his head, but it's like, well, why wasn't he doing that to Scott Lang or Hank Pym? It's like, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't understand why that needed to be a part of the character.
And when Evangeline Lilly said that, like I think she said like, "Oh, it's messing with your brain and stuff" or whatever. I think that's what she said. But when that happened, I was like, "Where did this come from?
Yeah,
like, what the hell? Exactly. Like seriously?"
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you have more? Did you want?
Well, and I thought it was just random that he chose Yellow Jacket chose to go to his Scott Lang's daughter and use her. Like why did he how did he know about
the Ant-Man suit?
Yeah, I know, but it was just kind of like it felt forced,
contrived.
Because it was contrived in order to get his daughter into the climax of the movie and truly really motivate him. And I don't know, it just seemed a little too convenient, I guess.
Okay,
that he just happens to show up there. Nice. Not happen. I don't know. I'm not articulating it well, but
right.
Yeah.
Pat, Pat was offended by that because he's a Corey Stoll fan.
I guess so. I like Corey Stoll.
Pat, what did you think of? I know that you're a big Corey Stoll fan from The Strain and from House of Cards and all that. What did you think of Yellow Jacket in the movie?
I thought he was really great. I thought Corey Stoll did a good job. They took a lot of liberties with the character from the comic books. I thought that his motivations were kind of trite. I mean, we've seen these types of motivations a lot in like 1,000 other movies. I kind of disagree with you guys talking about the suit. I don't think it was the suit that made him crazy. He was kind of already crazy, right? Because he killed that guy in the bathroom for just disagreeing with him in a meeting.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So I think the suit does mess with you, but I think he was already kind of that way anyways, and the suit just kind of amplified that.
That's true, and plus Hank did tell him like he saw himself in him, and that's why he drew away or whatever, because he saw too much of himself in it. There was maybe I'm not giving enough credit to the actual interplay between those characters and the motivations of those two characters, because there is stuff there. It just wasn't really communicated to me that well, and what did you think of the actual? The final action sequence and all that stuff. First of all, I loved like that scene. Like one of my favorite like oh man scenes from the movie was when Hank looks at his daughter and then like shows the keychain. And he's like, this isn't a keychain. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Nice. That is so cool.
I actually kind of thought that because they kept showing the keychain, and I was like, I bet that's gonna get big, and they're gonna drive through it with a tank.
That's yeah. I bet that's gonna get big. That's what a lot of girls do. Anyway, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I feel like an idiot for not thinking of that, because it was very noticeable that they they paid a lot of attention to it. But I was just like, I was with it with that. The Thomas the Tank fight scene. What did you guys think of that?
God, that was funny. Just how he threw the disc thing and it enlarged it. That was just another one of those hilarious things.
Mm-hmm. The disc thing was something that I wasn't expecting from it. I think that's a nice element to the Ant-Man character.
Yeah.
In terms of like weaponry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that scene a lot. I liked how they played with them shrinking and getting bigger, and I really liked how they played with that. Tiny mentioned something that I kind of disagreed with a little bit earlier. I liked the fact that he went to Scott Lang's house. Well, I guess it wasn't his house, but went to his daughter, because she plays a huge role in the comic books. So I thought bringing her back into the movie, I thought was really important. They took a lot of liberties with his character, and there's a big plot point in the comic books that obviously doesn't come into the movie because he's a completely different character. But I really liked how they brought her into the fray. Okay. I thought that went a lot along with the comic book.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool. So we'll wind down with this. The mid credits scene with Hank showing Hope the Wasp outfit. What did you guys make of that? Are you excited about her being Wasp in a future movie? I know that Kevin Feige has said that she's going to be in the suit at some point, but it's not going to be in like Civil War, because he didn't want the first time seeing her in the Wasp suit and interacting with Scott Lang to be in like a bit part in another movie. They're going to wait and do that. Probably from the sound of it sounds like it'll be in like Infinity War or something, because there's not an Ant-Man 2 on the slate or anything. So what did you guys think of? I know we've talked about Evangeline Lilly, but what did you guys think about Wasp coming into play later?
I think it's exciting because, I mean, what's not to love about two people that can shrink down,
right,
and do all that awesome stuff? And they demonstrated that she's a martial arts expert and stuff like that. So I think it'll be cool. I mean, like I said, there's no reason to not be excited about it. I think it's going to be cool.
Right. Pat, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I'm very excited. are very excited because the Wasp and Ant-Man, Hank Pym's Ant-Man, are actually founding members of the Avengers.
Right.
So I appreciated that they're finally bringing that character into the universe. I was kind of hoping that they would do something with Agent Carter, with his wife, and because I mean they have the Agent Carter series, which I haven't actually watched.
It's yeah.
And I kind of was hoping that they would do sort of a prequel with him and his wife and kind of blend it into Agent Carter, but it doesn't seem like that's the route they're going to take.
Yeah, they kind of left it open for something like that because the wife, like, you never see her face, like they don't have like
exactly
an actress in mind for it. I think that Michael Douglas said that he wants Catherine Zeta-Jones to eventually play if she ever appears on screen, which is his in real life wife, but yeah, and also that'll be our closing thought. Is what did you guys make of Hank's backstory with that and the whole subatomic particle kind of thing element to it? Like, I mean, that was another thing that kind of didn't bother me, but it was kind of like a little formulaic to me. It's like, okay, they reference that there is a way to go smaller, to go in between the molecules and all that stuff, and it's like clearly that's what's going to happen at the end of the movie, and Scott's going to find a way to come back. It's going to be I almost spoiled another Disney Marvel movie, actually. Anyway, I won't spoil it, but it's very kind of formulaic in that regard. So, what'd you guys make of that? I didn't have a problem with it. I thought that it was cool. I thought that the the scenes of Scott Lang falling through was really cool, more effective than Interstellar. What did you guys think of it, though?
I actually was going to bring up Interstellar. It reminded me a lot of that, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, they planted the hell out of that, so I knew, being the big movie buff that I am, if they bring something up, it's going to pay off at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that was going to happen, and obviously I knew he was going to be in Civil War, so I knew he was going to find some way to come back. But, I mean, it was a cool scene. I enjoyed the visuals, but like I said, I knew he was going to find a way back, so it kind of was just sitting there waiting for him to find the way that he was going to. I mean, it worked. I liked how they brought back the discs, because I thought after him using it a couple of times that they were kind of just done. So I liked how they brought him back. But like I said, it reminded me a lot of Interstellar, and I was just kind of waiting for him to come back because I knew he would.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. Yeah, I was obvious that it was going to come up and he'd be back and all that. I didn't think it was more effective than Interstellar.
Well, you know.
But each their own, I guess. But yeah, it was cool. I mean,
yeah,
it was a cool idea. Yeah, good visuals.
Cool. Well, I think that does it for the discussion of Ant-Man. Yeah, so that'll be the end of the episode.